Florida is trying to force ChatGPT to answer a product safety question. The case is not really about whether OpenAI can point to a safety blog post or a terms of service page. Florida is pushing for a much more concrete standard. When a real person used the product in a risky moment, the company should be able to show the safety path. Simple as that. That safety path, though, includes the parts users never see in a launch demo. The conversation is slowing down. The dangerous part being refused, a warning appearing at the right moment, a safer handoff being offered, a parent having meaningful controls, a record existing afterwards so the company can actually explain what the hell happened if something does happen. See, that's the part of the lawsuit AI companies should actually be paying attention to. Florida is not only saying ChatGPT is dangerous, Florida's saying that it's trying to make ChatGPT prove it behaves like a real consumer product with real safety duties, a la a toaster oven or a car. See, that changes the frame entirely. See, if ChatGPT is treated mostly like a website, OpenAI can argue that their users are responsible for how they use a general purpose tool, and the company already publishes warnings anyways, safety policies, whatever controls. However, though, on the flip side, Florida's trying to argue that if ChatGPT is treated like a consumer product, standards would start to change. So the company itself has to show that the product itself handles a foreseeable risk in a responsible way. That is exactly why this case matters beyond Florida and beyond OpenAI. The pressure is aimed at every AI product that talks like a person, remembers context, even gives advice. It helps children, it handles emotional questions, or acts on behalf of a user, like an AI agent. AI companies have spent the last few years telling people that their systems are useful enough to become everyday infrastructure of their daily lives. However, regulators are now asking that the safety receipts that come with the actual level of reliance that the product gives. See, my read on this thing is, this is just the beginning of the whole product safety era of consumer AI. I keep saying these tools are just software. Sure, but the user experience is moving in the opposite direction. These products are designed to feel helpful, responsive, personal, and available at any hours. They run around the clock. The disclaimer at the bottom of the page is not going to settle the safety question alone. Here's what Florida filed itself. A little over 1 week ago, on June 1st, 2026, Florida Attorney General James Utmeyer filed an 83-page complaint against OpenAI entities and Sam Altman personally. The complaint alleges that OpenAI aggressively marketed ChatGPT while concealing to downplay serious risks around children, self-harm, violence, emotional dependence, cognitive harms, even data collection, which we know OpenAI is terrible with that. The important caveat is that these are allegations only. Florida has not proven any of them in court. OpenAI has not been found liable at this point. The court still has to test the facts, the legal theories, and the causation of all this. But even at the allegation stage, the complaint is revealing because it shows how a state is trying to frame consumer AI. Florida is not only saying a chatbot said something bad, that's one thing. The broader theory is that ChatGPT is a consumer product that was marketed and is marketed as useful and safe. It is not only about whether a model can hallucinate, it's about whether the company itself designed the product experience, the controls, the warnings, the data practices, and the safety interventions all around that in a way that matches how people actually use the product. The reason AI is different from a normal search engine is not magic, okay? A search engine usually gives you links. A chatbot keeps the thread going. You can apologize, it can actually remember context, it can respond in a warm tone, it can feel like a tutor or coach, an employee, a friend, a therapist, a coworker, a junior employee, you name it. Even when the company says it's none of those things, it sure acts like it. If an AI company builds an AI tutor, the product can shape what a child learns. Fair enough, right? If it builds an AI companion, that product can shape attachment and trust. If a company builds a coding agent, very popular. The product can touch real files and systems, by the way. If it builds a workplace assistant, that product can influence hiring, discipline, evaluation, firing, or customer decisions. Now, in each of these cases, the safety question becomes a part of the product itself. That is the part AI companies should be taking seriously. Safety is not only a policy that needs to be addressed. The refusal matters, the warning matters, the escalation path matters, the memory setting matters, the parental control options matter, the age flow matters, the audit trail matters, and that's key when you have to go to court and you have to defend something that happened. Look, on all fronts, the product has to behave safely in the moment where the risk appears. Not only describe safety after the fact, and something bad happens. Well, the state of Florida's complaint puts several pressure points on the table. The first is speed versus safety. The complaint argues that OpenAI moved quickly, chased growth, which it did, and did not do enough to address risks it allegedly knew were foreseeable, aka that they knew all about the whole time. This is the most familiar tech criticism, but AI makes it sharper because a product is not just distributing content, it's generating interactive responses in the private conversations people are having with it on a day-to-day. The second is children and parents. Florida argues that children can use these systems in ways that parents may not understand, and that's completely understandable. Optional controls that are around them are not the same as product level protection. It's not like everything else you can have to protect your kids from. So whether the legal argument succeeds in separating from the product issue, parents are still going to expect more than a settings page they may never find if the product is being used for schoolwork advice or for companionship for teenager or whatever, teenager getting bullied or late night emotional support, whatever's going on in your kid's life. The third is high-risk conversations. The relevant AI point is simpler. When a conversational product detects a dangerous or sensitive moment, the company itself needs to be able to explain what the system did in that moment. It should be possible to tell whether the product kept engaging normally, whether it slowed down, whether it actually refused to give you an answer, routed to support and said, hey, this is probably something you should look at. It should demonstrate that it showed resources when it needed to. 1-800 suicide prevention hotline or whatever, 911. More importantly, it needs to preserve enough information to understand the failure later. That's the whole point. So it doesn't happen again and it's fixed. It's supposed to be intelligent, right? And here's the fourth thing, emotional design. Florida argues that ChatGPT can create a sense of human-like compassion or trust, or a simulated version of that. That claim will have to be tested, but the underlying issue is real. AI products are not neutral boxes of text when they are intentionally designed to be conversational. I mean, they're made to be patient, they're made to be flattering, always available, unless you're getting bogged down for rate limits. If the product itself creates trust, the company cannot pretend trust is relevant as safety. They're intertwined. The part that AI companies should fear the most of all is the proof. If a consumer AI is treated like a real product, the company will be asked to show what happened inside the safety flow. Not just what the policy says on page so-and-so, not just what the model card says, not just a general statement or a disclaimer at the bottom. The company cares deeply about safety. The standard becomes receipts. The company itself needs to show what the model saw and what it classifies as risky, what warnings appeared, what controls were available, what logging existed, and what the handoff experience actually looked like when a conversation moves from ordinary use of information to a sensitive situation. See, that standard itself already feels normal in other serious software environments. When an AI coding agent says it finished a task, a serious builder still wants the diff. They want to check it, they want to look for themselves. They want to see the tests, they want to see the logs, the lint test, did it pass everything? The same logic is coming for consumer AI. If an AI assistant claims to be safe for families, schools, workplaces, or vulnerable users, the company will need more than trust me language. It will need a verifiable safety trail it can point to in a court of law. And that is a major shift because AI companies have benefited from ambiguity on the whole matter. The product can be marketed as powerful and personal when selling the upside, then described as just a tool when responsibility comes up and something bad actually happens. Florida's case is just part of the push against that ambiguity. Now, the honest version of the story is not that OpenAI did nothing. OpenAI has public safety pages, and there have been plenty of court cases in the past, right? Not by states, of course, but still some serious court cases. It describes workaround community safety, sensitive conversations that involve crisis resource routing, parental controls, teen and family resources when they need to, automated checks if something doesn't seem right. Hell, even a human review in certain situations. It's not that much to ask for. And even account restrictions if we're past the point of help. And yeah, in fact, in various serious, like ultra extreme situations involving law enforcement or 911 or medical responses. AP also generated OpenAI's position that ChatGPT is a general purpose tool used by hundreds of million people for normal and useful purposes. It's used by hundreds of millions of people, billion plus people around the world, and it's useful for a lot of things. The company continues to improve safeguards. It's not a problem. It's no big deal. That matters because the court should not treat a complaint as proof. Otherwise, ChatGPT, Claude, these products will all be at severe risk. You see, a product can still be used at massive scale while having difficult edge cases. It's such a broad scenario what can happen. And some of these harms are complicated enough that assigning causation to one tool may be legally and morally hard, to be honest with you. At what point is self-agency a thing, allowing yourself to make the decisions that are right? Florida's case could overreach, and that's the truth. This case could actually mix strong product safety concerns, which are valid, with political framing. Some claims may be hard to prove. A court could even reject parts of the theory, especially if the legal standards do not map cleanly on an AI chatbot or if the causation is too speculative in this case. pressure does not disappear completely. The complaint is a signal that consumer AI is moving into the same zone as other products, as when your toaster blows up or your microwave overheats, whatever. Once that happens, the public standard changes before the legal standard is fully even settled. And here's why builders should care. If you're building AI products, the lesson is not wait to see what happens with Florida and who wins. The lesson is that safety has to be part of the product architecture before a regulator or a journalist or even a plaintiff or customer asks for evidence on it. It means builders should stop treating safety as a footer or a footnote in their disclaimer. If the product itself touches kids, emotional support, health, money, legal decisions, workplace decisions, public safety sometimes, or even other real-world actions, the safety system is not a side feature, and it shouldn't be. It should be part of the core experience of your product. The uncomfortable part of all this is that it makes AI products harder to build. Sure, it's easier to ship a clever assistant than to ship a clever assistant with age-aware controls, escalation paths if something goes off the rails, admin visibility if you want parental visibility on the side, memory boundaries so it kind of knows what happened bad, and all the logs that you might need in court. But that is the maturity curve these products probably need. I don't think that the right takeaway is ban ChatGPT, obviously. I also don't think that the right takeaway is Florida's automatically right. The lawsuit is unproven at this point. Some of it may actually fail. It probably will fail. But it brings a bigger point. That's that whether AI companies created products that feel more intimate than ordinary software, because they are, let's face it. And that intimacy is part of the appeal. They give you an answer right when you want it. Make complicated problems feel conversational and easy. It's easier to go into Wikipedia and find it yourself. Just ask ChatGPT. However, the company can't celebrate that intimacy when it happens, when it drives adoption, and then also dismiss it when it creates safety duties, like, oh my God, responsibilities. This is a category fight. AI companies want the upside of being treated like trusted assistants and the liability of posture of being treated like neutral tools, very simple, unimportant tools that are basic. But they're more than just that. The more these products behave like tutors or companions or work assistants, counselors, whatever they are, the less convincing it's going to become to say that the company only provided a blank text box. The product is the conversation design. That's what it is. It's the memory design, the safety design, the control design that it offers. And the evidence trail after something goes wrong is less important as a single legal case than as actual preview of the next AI battleground. I mean, you'll be seeing this again and again in the years to come. The issue is not only whether OpenAI wins or loses this one in court. It's got enough money to spend and make you go away. It's the legal precedent that's going to be way more important and way more damaging afterwards, depending how this goes. The larger issues, whether consumer AI can keep living in a gray zone between just software or a search engine or whatever it is, and a trusted product. Personally, I don't think that gray zone lasts very long. If AI companies want people to use these tools in schools, with their families, or in workplaces, or in emotionally sensitive moments, which they already do, they'll need to prove that safety is built onto the actual thing itself, not just announced, not just as a footnote. It's documented that it's built in, that it can be referenced in a court case, like I said multiple times. And that means real controls, real refusals, real escalation paths, real records, and a serious answer when the actual product behaves badly in a foreseeable situation, because it's gonna happen. The product safety era of consumer AI has started. It's just begun.